Today I purchased a secondary Panasonic G85. I love these cameras. I'm going to give you 10 reasons why I purchased another one of these. Let's get into it. The first thing I love about the G85 is the fact it has unlimited recording time. There's no limits, and on top of that, it will record to one big file if you just let it run. If you've got a full battery or you're running it off AC or whatever, an adapter, and you have a large enough SD card, you can record 4K almost up to basically the entirety of the SD card in one big file. Now, I've done some shoots overseas where I was recording about 10 videos a day, and every 4 gig on my old camera, it would split the files. So I had lots of files I had to try to find and combine and put them all on the timeline. That way, sometimes the audio didn't always go together properly that way either. I love the fact on this, you've got unlimited recording time, but on top of that, you can just record one big file if you so choose. It makes file management so much easier. The second thing I love about the G85 is the fact it has a fully articulating screen. How great is this? It makes recording yourself super easy, or even if I've got it on a tripod in a room, I like to know that the camera's still on and it's still working, because there's no real other indication that it's recording. If you can't see the screen, you don't always know exactly what's going on. So you can check your focus, exposure, all that kind of stuff, and just making sure it's on is always a good thing as well. So the flip out screen gets the thumbs up. A third thing I love about the G85 is the stabilizer. I think it's almost on par with the GH5, and that camera costs a whole lot more than this camera. So in terms of the stabilizer, if you're a video shooter, you can't go wrong with one of these. Especially if you're a vlogger, I think these might be one of the best cameras out there for that. The fourth thing I love about the G85 is how compact it is in terms of size. If I was to compare it to, say, something like the FZ2500 and I'm traveling overseas, odds are I'm not going to take the FZ2500 or FZ2500. I'm going to take the G85. I've traveled with both this and the GH5, and I much preferred this. The next time I travel overseas to film, I'll be taking both of the G85s and probably leaving the GH5 at home. So food for thought. The fifth reason I love this camera is picture quality. I think the picture quality is so close to the GH5. If I was using the same frame rate on both cameras, it would be hard to tell them apart. The colors also look very, very comparable. I don't notice a huge difference there either. There is one downside to the G85 though in this department. It does crop slightly in on the sensor, so things look a little bit closer than they would on the GH5, but that's not a deal breaker. It's not too extreme or anything like that. So in terms of picture quality, I would say this is very, very close to the GH5. Reason number 6, these cameras are absolutely awesome, and the reason why I got this second one today is value for money. For the kind of performance you're getting versus what you pay, you can't go wrong. Now in Australia, everything's a little bit more expensive than compared to most places around the world, but I got a $400 off today with a free lens, and I think that's just a really great deal. So for me to go out and get another GH5, I could probably buy 2.5 of these for the same price. So food for thought there as well. This seventh reason is something you might not have heard of before, but here in Australia, we shoot in 25 or 50p instead of 30 and 60. Now the great thing about this camera is it will shoot in 4K 30. Now it doesn't change from NTSC to PAL, but that's essentially what that is. The menu system on the FZ2500 or GH5 can be actually set to Cinema 4K as well, but you can go PAL and then also NTSC. This is nice and simple. It takes all of that out and you can just go straight to 30p mode and you can match footage that way. So if you're shooting some of your footage on a mobile phone that shoots in 30p and then you use this and you want to mix the footage, instead of having different frame rates, you can essentially just have the same thing across the timeline, which usually gives you better results. So 30p is built into this, even in Australia, which is great, or I can just shoot at its native like 25p here in Australia. So very cool. The eighth reason I love the G85 is the audio preamps. I think they sound really good. I just kind of wish you could back them off and reduce the gain just that little bit more, but overall they're a clean sound. And with my wireless pack that I'm using right now, which is the Rode Filmmaker Kit, I can actually reduce the output from the receiver into the camera, which is how I usually run it if I'm running it into the G85. But in terms of audio quality, I think they sound pretty good. The ninth reason I dig this camera is the fact that they've actually put the SD card slot on the side of the camera. This is a deal breaker for me. If it's not on the side, I won't buy it. I made the mistake of buying the G7 without doing my research, and the G7 has it underneath. Now, it might not be a huge deal breaker for everybody, but if you're like me and you're using it with a tripod clip like I am right now, is it going to focus? Yep. Then that's one of those things that you can't get to without having to take that on and off all of the time. So just keep that in mind. If you are shooting on a tripod and you want to take the SD card out and you own the G7, you know how painful it can be. I know you can get some mounts and all that kind of stuff, but just having it on the side, huge thumbs up. The final reason I love the G85 is a twofold thing. I love the menu system. If you've never used a camera and you were to use the G85 or even the G7 or any of these other Panasonic cameras, most of the menu systems are so intuitive, and that's one thing I love about them. I went from video cameras to mirrorless cameras, and the transition was super easy. Everything was where it should be. But the thing I love about the menu system on this, it's not as complicated as the GH5. It should appeal to different people. If you need all the tweaking and all the different codecs and all of the different frame rates and the slow-mo, the GH5 will be the way to go. But the menu system on this will appeal to people who want to get into making videos online or making videos without having the complicated, menu system and all that kind of stuff. It's just nice and simple. I love the way the camera feels in my hand. That's the sort of the follow along from the last point. It just feels good to use. The buttons are in a good spot. The menus are nice and easy to navigate. I dig it. Thanks again for watching, guys. My name's Shane. If I missed a critical point, please post in the comments as well. But I love this camera and I liked it so much in terms of value and performance. I went out and bought another one today, and it's just one of those things where I just got great results from this camera. It feels good, it's nice and small, all of these things, and these weren't free. I went out and purchased everything that you've seen in this video and everything that you've seen on my channel. So keep that in mind as well. No one sent me these cameras out for review or anything like that. These are just things that I've thought about now that I've used them for quite some time. If you own a G85, don't forget to post in the comments. Let me know what you like about it. And if you've also been lucky enough to compare it to, say, a GH5, what do you think of the difference in terms of performance? I don't know how much there is in it. I know the GH5 has a lot of other features, but just apples to apples comparison, 25p or 30p, it's gonna look pretty similar, but you let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll catch you soon. See ya.